Hello everyone, it's me Nick Gaming 2174 here again with another video. We're playing Roblox again. Today I'm in Roskilde Central Railroad again. It's been ages since I last touched this game. But yeah, today we're gonna be running more trains. And I think there are some new things actually. Let me see. No, that's not. Oh yeah, those look new. Okay. Are there any new things here? Extras Game Pass. I remember doing the 4th of July. The 4th of July video. I might put Thomas. There he is. And then I'll do some passenger. Should do Roskilde Central? Yeah, we can do this. Alright, here we go. Is that the brake coach? I can't even tell. I'll just add it. And I can add these things. Do 2 guns and do a blue caboose. And I guess this is another little special for the 80th anniversary of the Railway series. Oh yeah, I can put myself in, Thomas. Oh no, 100. Still got the whistle. So here we go. Look how long that is. Here, let me turn down the game volume. Alright, off we go with Thomas. The Blue Thomas Express. You guys can call this. Also, you guys see the map is updated. Some things look more realistic. Alright, there we go. I guess I'll go towards the, over here, the underwater tunnel. Wait, are there even any, like, restrictions anymore? Like the deliveries required to enter thing? Alright, guys, I just turned down the how much the sound was catching on my recording software, so if it sounds quieter now, that's why. Wow, that is one long line of coaches. So I'll go this way to the left, and I think I'll go up the mountain. Here we go. Up this way towards the mountain. Roskilde Central Railroad. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about the history of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends if you all would like to understand history. So, the TV show started in 1984 that was created by Britt Allcroft, and she sadly passed away on Christmas last year and left everyone pretty heartbroken. And they've all like done song like remakes dedicated to her, like the most notable song being the Island song. Wait a minute. Oh my. Is this real? Oh my goodness. I can actually fall down here. Oh my goodness. What have I done? Oh dear. Um, well, alright then, I ruined that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's still going. Oh, well, there it goes. And I think I've just bugged the game. Uh, Hold on, guys. I'm gonna quickly load up the game again so I can continue this. So I'll be back. Alright, everybody, I'm back. So I've just loaded the game back up. Okay, note to self, do not go down the, that huge, like, pit, whatever it is. Do I want to get Thomas back out? Wait, dark light? Oh, it's just a lighter saturated. Or could get the Hogwarts Express. Why don't I do one of these guys here? Oh, Steam Tram. I think that's supposed to represent Toby. Here, I'm gonna do 4014. Legacy model? Do I want to do... Let's do a freight train. Freight rated car. Yeah, let's do these. Then I'll do 2 guns. And then a chair. Oh, wait. Oh, the chair's in the wrong place. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter. So I guess I just gotta type 4014. Oh, no, it's 40,000. Or 4,000. I'm trying to get back in the chair. That'll do. Oh, I'm picking up bacon. Oh, and I'm going this way. I'll show you guys around the thing if you want to see. Oh, jeez, no, I don't want to do that. But yeah, so I'll continue talking about the history of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. So it started in 1984, and pretty much the episodes follow the the original stories. Like the first episode, Thomas and Gordon. Obviously, that followed from the Railway series book, Thomas the Tank Engine. And they taught some important lessons, like Thomas and Gordon teach you the lesson that you shouldn't be cheeky to others. And like, what are some other notable episodes teaching good morals? Like, I guess the episode Dirty Objects, where that was about James. So it's about like James insults Toby and he loses his patience. And then he makes James furious, which results in him having an accident. So basically, the whole plot of the episode is that James isn't kind to Toby because of how he looks, claiming he's a dirty object. And then so Toby gets some payback on James by reminding him of the time he needed a bootlace to be ready. And it made James extremely angry. And then he's pulling a freight train eventually. But he was rough with them, so they wanted to get he was rough with the truck, so they wanted to get back at him. And so they did. So they ran James into 4 tanker cars, although the narrator says there were 2 because that's taken from the original like story. Oh wow, look at this station. God, I can't even see the track. It like blends in. But then after James has that accident, when Percy and Toby come to help, Toby says, "Look here, Percy, whatever is that dirty object?" Percy asks if Toby knows it was James, but then Toby reiterates something that James told him earlier. "I'm always ready for anything, and you never see my paint dirty." And then so Toby says it's James's shape, but James is a splendid red engine. You never see his paint dirty. So then at that point, James pretty much learns he was the dirty object because he was treating Toby the way he was based on how he looked. So the episode can teach 2 things. One thing, it's not how something looks that determines it's a dirty object or someone. It's how you treat them. And 2, you shouldn't judge people based on how they look, which is absolutely true. So we're in this area here. We're by the coal mine. I'll be honest, you guys. I actually like the old mountain better. When I don't know if you guys know this, but I had played this with Jason, or Western Ohioan Turban History. He and I played this one like years ago when I was still only a beginner on YouTube, and we played this, and the mountain here was completely different. Originally, there was like a bridge that went over the top of a track, and then there was like a track that spiraled down. I don't know why the creator of the game took that out. What other Thomas Friends episodes are there? I think I'd say probably one of my favorite episodes is Gordon Takes a Tumble. So what it's about is Salty teases Gordon about being too big for his buffers, so Gordon decides he wants to show Salty how an express engine pulls freight cars. But later he gets switched onto a branch line. And because of that, the one thing you have to realize is that the branch line tracks were incredibly old and rusty, so it couldn't really handle Gordon's weight. But it got worse when he saw a sign that said he had to go slow. And this kind of spawned a meme. So when Gordon passes the sign, he says, "I'm an express engine. I don't go slow." And he lives by his word, and he actually speeds up, and because of that, the rails buckle, and he flies right off the track and into a field. He plows through a pile of mulch, a pile of tires, which breaks his tender from the main part of him, and then he crashes through a barn and out the other side. And then he gets scolded by Sir Topham Hatt, who tells him that he only succeeded in showing Salty how silly it is to ignore a go slow sign. So that episode could teach quite a few things, but I don't know what the main thing is. For me, I'd say the main thing is like you should always follow safety rules. Like Gordon didn't follow the safety rule of going slow, so he paid the price by coming right off the track. But I mean, I guess a better moral could be like everyone makes mistakes, because Gordon gets told by Thomas that everyone makes mistakes, which is true. And then James says that Salty apologized for teasing him about that, which is an indication that the writers want us to feel that what Salty did was not right, and that he was part of the reason for Gordon's accident, which is true. He was part of the reason why Gordon was the way he was, and what led to him derailing. So a lesson, like I could say a thing there they could teach is like, don't do things that make people mad, because it could result in them having it could cause them to, or it could cause something bad to happen to them. So Salty teased Gordon, and because of that, it made Gordon furious, and it was one of the reasons that led to him having an accident. But yeah, I don't know what the main moral is, but whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it's the everyone makes mistakes, as said by Thomas. Okay, I think I'm gonna get a different train. And then, what other good episodes are there? Like, yeah, I'm gonna delete this. Trying to think, what other episodes are there? Like, I really don't know any other things that are good. Trying to recall. Another good episode is Respect for Gordon. So what that's about is, so Gordon gets treated bad by the engines because of he gets treated bad because of his firebox. And so because of that, he demands that they all start respecting him. So then it leads to a number of things happening. So the first notable thing is that he overtakes James at a water tower. Then he directs Percy away from the express coaches, or something like that, I think. And then he tells Thomas, Emily, and James that they should give him Polite too when they see him. This confused them, because obviously at this point it's where it's like people don't just get respect, it's earned. I need to see what the 395. Oh, it is set. So I could get milk, oil, and something else. But yeah, as I was saying, with respect for Gordon, so basically what happens then afterwards is that Gordon would just think everyone forget his clunk, his his firebox malfunctioning, and then they treat him with respect. So upon going along his line, he sees Emily, but she doesn't give him the polite toot like he's ordered them. So it makes him angry, and because of that, he runs straight into some jam cars. Jam or jelly cars, I don't remember what it was. Wait, where do I get the oil from? Well, that way, okay. And then so because of that, he has to be sent to the repair yard for a long time. And then so Emily and Henry take over with the express. And then they say about how hard it is to pull the express. And then at that point, that's where one lesson can be learned. And then like the end of the episode is where the morals are set. So the first notable one is said by Gordon. He learns that respect is never just given, it's earned. And then Thomas tells Gordon that they learned that you should always respect those who are working hard, because they thought Gordon's job was just simple, but then they realized his job was a lot harder than they initially thought. So a lesson can be taught there. You should never judge someone before you walk in their shoes. And they were judging Gordon before they realized how hard his job was. And then that's what led to them all changing and deciding that Gordon was right. That they should treat him with more respect than what they were doing. I mean, the episode really isn't much of a it's not really bad for any side. It's more like both sides win. Oh shoot, wait, I think I'm going on the wrong thing. I gotta another episode that's pretty good is it's called Hector the Horrid. So basically what that's about is a new hopper car is brought to the coal yard, and his name is Hector. And then so what happens is, so Thomas has to make some long lines of coal for James and Edward, but Hector doesn't want to be shunted, so Thomas just leaves him alone until Rosie arrives. So then when Rosie arrives, Hector roars at them, and he roars so loud it scares Rosie off. But then Thomas decided that he wasn't having any more of Hector's behavior. So what he does then is he pushes Hector right off the track. And then he realizes that Hector didn't look weak at all when he was or didn't look horrid at all when he was in the coal dust. So then Thomas asks Hector why he didn't want to be shunted. That's where the moral of the episode can be learned, because Thomas asked Hector why he was the way he was. So there's always something that makes people the way they are, which is actually a very important thing to learn. Because then after Thomas realizes this, he actually helps Hector change instantly. Because Hector says to Thomas that he was scared to be filled up with coal. So Thomas decides to help him by showing what it's like. So Thomas goes under the coal hopper and fills up his coal bunker with coal. And then after Hector sees that it was not the way he thought it was, he immediately changes and wants to be filled up. Another lesson that can be learned there is you should face your fears, and that sometimes your fears are not what they seem like. And then later, the model series was rebranded into a whole animated CGI series. It first started out with the animated film Hero of the Rails, where it was about Thomas finds an old engine named Hero and decides to help repair him. Although it didn't come without some challenges. So a silver engine, his name is Spencer, comes to the island to help the Duke and Duchess of Boxford build a summer house. Something that should be said is that those characters, the Duke and Duchess of Boxford, they always have a summer house when they arrive on Sodor, and it's always I think it's always a different location. And so what happens is, after they see Spencer arrive, they challenge him to a race with Thomas, which Spencer ends up winning. But that was the point when Thomas found Hero, because he was driven off into some woods where he found Hero, and that area was known as Hero's hideout. And then so after Thomas discovers Hero, he initially says that they should go get Sir Topham Hatt so that he can be fixed. However, Hero quickly disputes that offer because he thinks that he would be scrapped because of how old he is. So Thomas agrees to keep it secret. So then you all may be questioning, what did Thomas do to actually repair Hero? So Thomas gets sent to the steamworks to be repaired, and then after a few visits, he notices some parts left behind. The first part he notices is an old cylinder, and then so he asks Victor if he can take it. Victor asks him why, but Thomas doesn't answer, thinking that Victor would tell Sir Topham Hatt about Hero. So he takes the cylinder to Hero, and then the next day after is when they would start doing the work, or I don't know what it's called, but it's where they start repairing Hero. But then Thomas notices there's huge trouble along the way because the Duke and Duchess of Boxford summer house is very close to Hero's hideout, and because of that, Spencer would be close to Hero every day. Because as I mentioned earlier, he was the one helping them to build the house. And so then what happens later on is, so of course Thomas gets the new cylinder put on Hero, but then at that point Thomas realizes that he'll need his friend's help to fix Hero, so he tells them all about Hero. Although unfortunately another conflict comes along the way. So when Thomas goes to help Percy puts his mail cars, quote unquote, somewhere safe. So he leaves them in a siding, but unbeknownst to him, that's actually where Hero is, where he leaves his mail cars. So then Thomas has to help Percy then get repaired. So then he takes Percy to the Sodor Steamworks, and then there he tells Victor all about Hero. I forgot to mention, but he did tell Percy about Hero, when Percy was helping him. Well, what he asked Percy to do for him was take a load of farm machinery to farm in the coals, but the load was too heavy for Percy, and he popped a cylinder, or popped a valve, not a cylinder. And then he tells, as I said, he tells Victor about Hero, but so like Thomas initially, Victor also says that they should tell Sir Topham Hatt, but Thomas tells Victor exactly what Hero told him about being scrapped. So Victor agrees to keep it secret and tells him that he'll leave parts for him and his friends in a corner, and whatever he leaves there are parts they can take to Hero. And so eventually all the engines do take Hero, but not with more trouble along the way. One thing that happens is when Thomas and Percy are looking for the mail cars, because of where Percy left the mail cars, they had gone missing. And then so what happens is when they go to look for the mail cars, they go to the quarry, but Spencer's there too, and Mavis follows him around, quote unquote, and she claims to show him around the quarry. So what happens then is she takes him under the slate hopper, and because of that, slate and dust fall down his funnel, and that causes his funnel to get blocked. So he had to go to the steamworks as a result. And then at that point, when he's repaired, he eventually decides that it wasn't worth following Thomas around for clues. He decided to look around, where Thomas has been swooping. So then he puffs closer and closer towards Hero. But good thing is that Toby and James were guarding Hero, because Thomas asked his friends if they could guard Hero while they wait for Percy to get the last part. And so they do. However, Spencer gets Percy's mail cars, and I just derailed. Whoops. But yeah, as I was saying then, so they chase. So Toby and James chase Hero away from Hero. Although then Spencer gets scolded by Sir Topham Hatt, who thought he took Percy's mail cars. He tries to tell Sir Topham Hatt it was not so, but Sir Topham Hatt wasn't interested in listening to it, so he tells Spencer to take them back to Percy. But then at this point, he's had enough of what Thomas and everyone was up to. Obviously, hence what he says, I won't let Thomas get away with this. And so later on, Thomas visits Hero and tells him about Percy coming over with the last part. However, Spencer puffs too close to them, and at that point, they have fixed Hero enough that he could puff away from Hero. Sorry. And so Thomas and Hero do, but Spencer catches up to them. And so they try to get away from Hero as fast as they can. But as they're puffing away from Spencer, all the new parts on Hero start falling off. And because of that, he breaks down and he couldn't keep going on. It's really sad to watch. But then Spencer gets scolded once again, but this time by the Duke and Duchess of Boxford, because he wasn't doing their work. I don't know why my thing wasn't loading. Here, wait, let me try something. Holding that and then doing that. Sorry I keep turning off the music. I should say this, but I get copyright claims on my videos if there's music playing, so that's why there isn't any. But so then Spencer gets scolded, and again by Duke and Duchess of Boxford, and at that point his pride gets completely ruined. And then so Thomas offers to help Spencer with the summer house, which the Duke and Duchess of Boxford accept. Although Hero was still sad about what had happened, and so was Thomas. So when Thomas goes back to Timna's sheds, he says to the engines that at that point there was nothing else they could do for Hero, and that he was going to have to tell Sir Topham Hatt. Upon being asked by Emily why, Thomas says that the reason was simply because... Oh my god, what happened? Oh jeez, what in the world happened? But yeah, as I was saying... I have no clue what happened. But, so as I was saying, upon being asked by Emily why Thomas was going to tell Sir Topham Hatt even though they were going to keep it secret, Thomas says that the reason was simply because they tried to fix Hero on their own, and because of that, it only made things worse than actually better. So he said he was going to tell Sir Topham Hatt, but he was first going to fix the... He was going to finish the summer house with Spencer because at that point he hadn't been as useful as he had wanted to be. He wanted to be until discovering Hero. So, and then while he's doing that, he asks his friends to be with Hero, and so they do. So after Thomas fixes the, or finishes the summer house with Spencer, he goes off to tell Sir Topham Hatt, but Spencer knew that Thomas was going to tell him about Hero. So they have a race yet again. And so it starts off actually rather intense because they're puffing like pretty much all around the island, similar to how they were in the first race. But then they get into like a marshy, kind of like muddy land, because Thomas knows that it was the quickest way to Knapford. But because of how old the track was, it couldn't take Spencer's weight, and it collapsed. And then at that point, Thomas says he would go get help for Spencer. So and then when he arrives at Knapford, he tells the Sir Topham Hatt all about Hero. But then at that point, Sir Topham Hatt says that he knew all about Hero to begin with, and that he should have just said something to him about Hero when he found him. And then Thomas also mentions Spencer, but the Duke and Duchess tell him to leave Spencer where he was, because he disobeyed an order to not leave the summer house, which he did. So he would have to wait until Hero was repaired. And so Thomas and Percy take Hero to the steamworks where he's fixed, and then soon Thomas and Hero help Spencer out of the mud. And then they continue working on the summer house yet again. I know I said earlier Thomas and Spencer finished it, but what I was kind of saying was he finished it enough that it would be ready by the time they intended. Was kind of the idea. But then Hero begins to feel homesick, so he wants to return to his homeland, which Thomas goes and tells Sir Topham Hatt about. And then the next day they have goodbye celebration to Hero. And then that's where the film ends. And then from that point, the rest of the series was pretty much CGI animation. But yeah, Thomas and Friends has had quite a bit of history to it. But anyway, I think I'm going to end the video here for today. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. As always, feel free to subscribe. So bye for now.